Welcome back to Applied Economics class. So in this video, we want to continue our discussion on how to interpret the estimated regression model coefficients. So we are still on a level, also known as linear model. So we are on case 2, where the dependent variable y is measured in percentage, but the independent variable x is not measured in percentage. Okay, so we are still on case 2, where the dependent variable y is measured in percentage, but the independent variable x is not. Okay, now let's give a numerical example. Okay, let's say we have a case where where the GDP, GDP growth equals to, we have 41.2, then we have plus 0.02 PE. So this is an estimated model. So where GDP growth, this one is measured in percentage. Growth is in percentage, but we have public expenditure, which is PE, which is measured in US dollar. So we know that GDP growth is measured in percentage, and we know that PE, public expenditure, is in USD. Okay, so how do we interpret this model? Assuming we have estimated a model like this, how do we interpret correctly? Given the fact that the dependent variable here is measured in percentage, it's still a level model, but the dependent variable here is measured in percentage, but the independent variable is measured in the original unit, which is in US dollar, not measured in percentage. Okay. Now, how do we interpret? Very straightforward. So we look at the sign of our beta 1 hat, which is the plus. You can see plus is the sign. So that suggests that GDP, the interpretation, GDP growth is positively related to PE. To PE, that is public expenditure. Let me write it in full. Expenditure. So therefore, on average, a dollar increase, that is $1 increase, that is the same thing as a dollar increase. $1 increase in public expenditure is associated with 0.02 percentage point. Why is it percentage point? Because the dependent variable is measured in percentage. Point increase in GDP growth. Okay, and vice versa. Why is it vice versa? Because it's a linear model. It is linear in parameter. So vice versa here implies that also on average, $1 decrease in public expenditure is associated with 0.02 percentage point decrease in GDP growth. This is the interpretation where we have beta 1, that is the coefficient of the independent variable greater than 0, that is being positive. So let's consider a case where the coefficient is negative. What if the coefficient is negative? So how do we interpret that? If the coefficient is negative, how do we interpret that? So let me use this side. So numerical example, especially where you have your beta 1 at less than 0. How do we interpret? So let's give this example. Let's say we have an inflation has been run on exchange rate. Let's say we have the intercept as 21.39, we have minus 0.04 exchange rate. Okay, this is our estimated model. So we know that inflation is measured in percentage. Inflation is always in percentage, but exchange rate is not in percentage, is a ratio of a country currency to another, the unit of another country's currency. Okay, say for instance here, the exchange rate here is equivalent to Naira to USD. Okay, Naira to 1 USD. Okay, how many Naira is required to have 1 USD? So how do we, and if inflation is measured in percentage, but this is not measured in percentage. So how do we interpret this? Very straightforward. So the interpretation goes this way, that because of the sign here, the inflation is negatively related to exchange rate. So let me just shorten it. That is, on average, £1 increase in exchange rate is associated with 0.04 percentage point decrease in inflation. Can you see? And vice versa. So vice versa here implies that £1 decrease in exchange rate is also associated with 0.04 percentage point increase in inflation. This is how to interpret level, also known as linear model. Okay, we've talked about different cases of this level model. This is how to interpret. So I want to believe by now you'll be able to interpret correctly level model, okay, for all these three cases. Thank you. See you in the next video for the continuation of this topic.